All right, all right, all right. Week 6. So I just finished um, the discussion for this week. Okay, which is kind of what I should be probably terming a code challenge with a discussion. And I hope you enjoy the content this week. It has been fun to do it. Um, but it is one of those things. As a matter of fact, if you want to see where we almost end up, I don't have coded in the last discussion challenge, but you end up with a form that looks like this. That's what you're going to create this week. Learning about how to create the form, how to use HTML to validate, right? Because we have to validate user input. We have to assume users won't do the right thing. You'll hear me say that. And in this case, not only will you do all that work, but you also then learn how to set up an event listener. I introduce you to the concept of asynchronous code. The term callback will be used. Basically, you do this and then it calls back. It's like waiting, and in this case, we're doing an event listener, but we'll see asynchronous code towards the end of the class because JavaScript by its nature normally is synchronous, meaning it just executes one line after the other. So this week is, okay, in my opinion, fun. But anyway, that's what you're going to do for this week. But I had actually, it was Daniel who asked me, and I thought this is probably a good time to think about this. And I pulled back the schedule to remember what I had here. And so we are in week 6, right? Still doing weekly work, and so we have 2 more weeks of normal, and then on week 9 is when you will have your first dev work. And what I wanted to do here is I went back and looked at last semester when I taught this, and their first one was in week 10, so ours is 1 week earlier. And what this gives us is 2 dev works before the first opening window for the code review. It's funny how you see things. So you'll at minimum need to have the code dev work done before you can schedule, right? And also caught up with the weekly work before you come into a code review. So I just wanted to clarify that because when you're going to see here is I've provided down here the written instructions I did for them. So I don't want you to don't go do this because there's probably a few things like the folder name I'll change. But other than that, this is probably a good start. This is where we're going to set up a new folder. You're going to create a README file, write at least 1 paragraph that describes your decision-making process. Okay, so I want you to come up with something that you make decisions on, and the more regular you make these, the more meaningful it can be, right? And that you're going to write code to show us the output of that decision. Now, we're going to do this in stages. You don't have to have it all done at this point. At this point, what you'll be doing is setting up global variables, right? Because I don't want you to use functions. Don't do it, right? At least 1 string, number, and boolean, right? And we're going to implement some type of calculation. Right? We've done some of this. There's really nothing you all haven't seen for this. Write conditionals and comparisons that will reflect the result of your decision process based on the inputs, the variables. Okay. You need at least 3 conditional blocks. Now here in theirs I added the and the ors, so what that means is I got to make sure, and we were going to do this anyway, is that I show you that because we kind of talked about the and the or, but we didn't see it yet, so we'll do that. And again, don't write any functions, right? For them I had to update DOM, but I can show you as well. It's kind of like what we've been doing, but right, to show your decision output, or you can just use console.log, right, and then reach out for help as needed. And once you have working code, now this is the way I handle, and I left this in here so you would see this, is that the way I handle this is I want you to submit code first, right, and then because I will have videos that I don't publish to to make them visible to everyone, because I first want to see your attempt at this code. Okay, so you'll do that and there's your commit message, right? And then, and again, going forward after the first one, right, then I'll give you the video. But what I ended up doing for them, and I just put an update here, is I'm going to give you the first video here because I want you to have an idea of kind of, not kind of what I'm looking for. That way you know going into it. And then, you know, imagine as we have progressed in this class where we wrote logic, just the if conditions, right? We had variables. We had some decision output based on, in this case, the carbon footprint. But again, I want you to personalize this, and you'll see, I think I'm trying to remember what I did for mine. I'll have to review the video to remember. But at least watching this, now again, this is not until, right, week 9. And some of the weekly work, I'll have to figure out how to balance that as well. Because, anyway, I'll just have to figure that out. And you will have to figure that out. But this is just an example, right? This is the example of what I did last semester. I will make some changes to this. I do realize there are some things we need to go over that we haven't, which is good. I love doing that. I had already planned on doing that. So just give this a think and start thinking about it. Because it's never too soon to start working on this. Okay? And if you're ready, let me know. Then I'll make sure I go through and clarify this. But you won't see it until the end of week 9. But again, we're not that far away. And just keeping in mind, right, where this falls in the overall grade. I believe I have this set up correctly, so this is a good reminder of me. Like attendance doesn't count towards your grade, right? Decision is 20%, so this is 20. So these are all the steps. I may have calculated. So anyway, I think it's only 1 through 7, which is good. So basically every time, kind of like what we've done to the code line, we're chunking in and adding certain functionality, right? And then the weekly work there, and there should be one for the code review, which is also, now in this case, it's one code review worth 20% of your grade, right? So you can kind of see here, based on this, I need to go through and make sure. I think this one was probably the only one that didn't belong in there, or maybe this one. I'll have to make sure. But I believe it is 6 or 7. Matter of fact, I can know by doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, more than these. Okay, I'll have to look at that to make sure I have that right. But I like the idea of chunking that, meaning giving you kind of just, you know, not having you do it all at once, but giving you, here's your specific requirements every week. Okay. So going back to our work for this week. So Daniel asked me, and I thought it was a perfect time to talk about it, so you can start thinking about it, right? And what the video I've given you here is really just about getting your code ready for this week. So make sure you do that. Set up that week 6 in your private repo, and then we're ready to get started. Besides that, I don't have anything specific I can remember being asked at this point, so reach out if you have any questions. But actually, the thing I'd like you to reply with is any questions related to this, right? Which is our first, the draft. This is just a draft of the requirements for here. Like, is there any questions you might have just looking through here? And, you know, again, check out the video to help you understand that. And then maybe it will answer some of the questions. Not that I mind as well. All right. Peace out.